A chill mist still clung to the grand facade of Buckingham Palace when the subtle tremor began, a whisper that spread through the ornate corridors and hushed drawing rooms. News had broken earlier this year of King Charles III's diagnosis, an undisclosed form of cancer requiring weekly treatment. From Clarence House to Downing Street, official bulletins spoke of steady progress and cautious optimism, yet behind the carefully chosen words lay an unspoken question. How long could the monarch endure before the weight of the crown demanded a passing of the reins? In the days that followed the initial announcement, the palace's rhythm shifted imperceptibly. The king's calendar, once brimming with state visits and late-night receptions, thinned to a scattering of more manageable engagements. Courtiers noted his fatigue in fleeting moments, his furrowed brow as he signed dispatches, the way his handshake lingered a fraction too long before yielding to a respectful bow. Supporters rallied to fill the void. Prince William swept into roles typically reserved for his father, addressing diplomatic cohorts with newfound authority, while Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, quietly shouldered responsibilities behind the scenes, guiding policy discussions and championing community outreach. Yet despite these gestures of continuity, speculation swirled like a restless tide. A shadow crept through Westminster's hushed cafes and the Commons' marble halls. Would Charles ever inhabit Buckingham Palace as his primary residence? Clarence House, with its elegant Georgian facade and intimate sitting rooms, had been his home for decades, first as Prince of Wales, then as sovereign-in-waiting. Buckingham, by contrast, was an edifice of pomp and statecraft, its corridors echoing with 7 centuries of regal pageantry. Tradition dictated that every reigning monarch preside from its storied rooms, but what if Charles's illness rendered that right impossible? Late one evening, a well-placed aide delivered an uncharacteristically candid briefing to a handful of senior ministers. The king's treatment, they were told, was not a temporary hurdle, but a lifelong regimen. The term incurable slipped into the briefing notes, unsettling listeners. Perhaps more jarring was the phrase die with cancer, but not of cancer, a distinction medical experts use when a disease is managed over the long term, yet never eradicated. If this was indeed the king's path, the logistical and symbolic implications were staggering. Would he, as his mother had, ascend the throne and dwell in Buckingham's gilded chambers, or would Clarence House, with its familiar intimacy, remain his sanctuary until the end? That question gained fresh resonance when Camilla Tominey, the Sunday Telegraph's royal editor, published an in-depth report citing sources close to the family. She painted a stark portrait. Charles's weekly treatments, she wrote, were a testament to his resolve, but also a concession to a condition that cannot be cured. More provocatively, Tominey claimed that Charles's health prognosis had prompted a tacit decision among senior courtiers that Buckingham Palace, still undergoing a multi-million-pound overhaul, would not become his home. By late 2027, when the palace's ancient plumbing and creaking rafters are finally restored, Charles, now in his early 80s, might lack the stamina for the move. Within Clarence House's shadowlit library, William reviewed the article with a measured calm that concealed the turmoil beneath. His fingertips traced the leather spine of a dossier labeled Succession Planning, a file he had begun to consult with increasing frequency. According to palace insiders, the heir apparent has convened discreet meetings with constitutional experts and veteran diplomats to chart every scenario, from a temporary regency to a gradual transfer of duties. Each meeting felt to him like crossing a threshold. Once the king's role was formally shared, even by necessity, the character of the monarchy would alter inexorably. Meanwhile, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, found herself in a delicate balancing act. Publicly, she echoed the palace's message of continued royal engagement, appearing in dove-grey coats at garden parties, her smile steady as she greeted well-wishers. Privately, she confided in friends that the strain of concealment was immense. "It's like walking on ice," she once said, voice low and unguarded. "Every step must be perfect, or the cracks will show." In her study, late at night, she drafted handwritten letters to her husband's aides, urging them to spare Charles from any additional burdens, only to watch those letters vanish into locked drawers for fear of stirring undue alarm. Across town, at St. James's Palace, Camilla reviewed her own role, aware that the consort's place in these deliberations was as critical as it was unspoken. She had been urged by aides to encourage Charles to relinquish some of his duties, yet she feared such counsel might feel to him like a dagger to his pride. Instead, she offered quiet reassurance, accompanying him to chapel services and reviewing diplomatic briefs at his side. In moments caught on camera, she placed a gentle hand on his back, a gesture that spoke volumes of solidarity. For members of the public, these images were beacons of unity. For palace staff, they underscored the personal devotion underpinning the institution's resilience. As autumn's first frost dusted the palace gardens, observers noted another curious shift: the increasing visibility of Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. Once a quietly effective supporter, she began receiving invitations to co-host pivotal forums on rural education, on veterans' mental health, on community sustainability. At a banquet in Cardiff, she spoke with rare candor about the Crown's duty to serve beyond the fiery glow of ceremonial candelabras, her clear tone earning hushed applause. In an age when headlines are won by scandal, Sophie's measured eloquence carved out a new narrative: that duty and empathy, combined, could outshine any royal spectacle. In Downing Street, Number 10 staff monitored these developments with keen interest. Advisors debated whether to invite Sophie to a ministerial roundtable on social mobility, recognizing that royal endorsement could lend weight to legislative efforts, but also aware of the fine line between royal memoranda and political intervention. Meanwhile, Whitehall's security liaison pressed palace guards to share lessons learned from Windsor's Cornish breach, ensuring that both Clarence House and Buckingham's upcoming restored suites would be impervious to intrusion. And all the while, Harry and Meghan observed from across the Atlantic, their own brand of royal transparency a stark counterpoint. Meghan's social media posts, radiating business-class confidence, and Harry's candid interviews, charged with recollections of palace fear games, looped endlessly on British screens. Their presence, once confined to the margins of the royal stage, now cast long shadows over its heart. If Charles's declining health invited questions of who steered the crown, Harry's descent invited questions of who truly belonged at the helm. As December approached, the calendar brimmed with symbolic moments. A Christmas lunch at Sandringham loomed, where Charles's attendance had become uncertain. Plans for William to read the annual address in the throne room found tentative inclusion in draft scripts. Catherine, seated beside her husband at a charity gala in Edinburgh, paused mid-speech to exchange a flash of understanding with Sophie, as if to say, "We stand ready, come what may." These gestures, subtle yet potent, signaled a monarchy on the cusp of transformation, an institution anchored by history, yet propelled by the necessity of adaptation. In the end, it will not be the shiny new plumbing in Buckingham's restored wings, nor the carved stone lions that guard its entrance, that define this chapter of royal history. It will be these private struggles, Charles's courage in the face of an incurable illness, William's patient assumption of leadership, Catherine's deft navigation of public and private fears, Camilla's steadfast loyalty, Sophie's ascent to indispensable confidant, and Harry's echoing challenge from afar, that set the course for the crown's future. Each gesture, each whispered meeting, each carefully timed appearance weaves into a tapestry of human endurance and unspoken courage. For Britain, the question, when dawn breaks on the newly renovated palace and the golden state coach stands at its door, will be whether it sees a king who overcame, or a king who was overcome, a monarchy renewed by unity, or one irrevocably changed by necessity. And as the world watches, one truth emerges: in an age where secrets are rare and scrutiny constant, the crown's greatest strength may lie not in hiding its vulnerabilities, but in facing them, together, beneath the watchful gaze of history. Dear viewers, as you reflect on this unfolding saga, consider, what does it mean to lead when every move bears the weight of centuries? And in the quiet determination of a family bound by duty and devotion, can we glimpse the resilience at the heart of monarchy itself? Stay with us, there are more revelations to come, and the next twist could arrive when you least expect it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for every chapter in this royal odyssey. Until next time, thank you for watching, and for seeking the truths that lie beyond the palace walls.